If we put the man you said you wanted to become in front of you right now, would you recognize the way that you've been living? That's the question because most men, we don't destroy our lives in just one big decision. They do it quietly, piece by piece, excuse by excuse, delay by delay, and comfort over courage, distraction over discipline. And as fathers, that hits even harder because whether we like it or not, our kids are always watching what a man does when life gets heavy. They're learning from our discipline, they're learning from our avoidance, and they're learning from our courage. And yet, they're also learning from all of our excuses that we make. So today, this episode is for the dad who knows he's carrying more than what he's been living. The dad who's tired of saying, I'll get serious later. The dad who's tired of drifting. The dad who knows physically being present is not the same as being there truly. And showing up, we're talking about quiet self-betrayal. The private compromises and broken promises, the repeated patterns, and the cost of postponing the man that you were supposed to become. Because the real tragedy isn't failing. The real tragedy is never becoming this dad. And in this episode of Dad Compass Podcast, that's what we're discussing. I'm your host, Dimitri.
And I'm your host, Patrick.
Good segue. Let's get right into it. When you first heard the phrase of like quiet self-betrayal, is there anything that hit you about it?
Yes. I mean, I feel like I shouldn't say we, but I feel like a lot of people do it where you know what needs to happen and then you choose to not do it because it's hard.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Or you don't. Good.
No, you're good.
Or you just don't want to do it for some reason.
Yeah, I think that's usually it. And it just kind of compounds over time. We constantly don't want to do shit, realistically. As fathers, as people, we'd rather sit and do nothing. But we can have all these massive dreams and aspirations to become greater. Yet when it comes down to it, we're like, no, I don't think I want to wake up that early. No, I don't think I want to go do that. I have to stand up right now. I know I'd rather sit. I think it's kind of a constant battle within ourselves that I don't know how you would win it, if I'm being honest.
Well, and I can just tell you from my side, if, depending on what it is, but if I do the thing that I didn't want to do, I usually feel way better about it.
Yeah.
Whether it's working out or, not procrastinating and handling something, I feel sometimes physically better, but more mentally better. And then my engagement with other people is way more positive.
So quiet self-betrayal it's not a massive collapse. And I think that's kind of we as fathers, we tend to think, hey, this huge thing is going to happen and then everything's going to get destroyed. And that's when I'm going to be able to start getting my shit together. But the reality of it is it's just kind of daily comfort where we'd rather sit here in this little bubble of, I kind of want to say like fake freedom that we think, oh, we can do whatever we want. Well, I think that's kind of the problem. Yes, we can do whatever we want, but we choose to do the easiest thing possible. And over time, those little decisions that we make end up making it so much more difficult for us to, reach to the places that we want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say, like, for me, for example, I can't stand waking up early. And it's not that I can't stand it. It's just if my alarm's set and I'm just a little bit extra tired, I'm be like, no, I'm not going to do it. Well, like you said, when you win those little victories, that starts off your morning in a great way. Even if you don't go to the gym, even if you're not doing anything, just waking up early and kind of getting your thoughts out. Now, it's just kind of funny because so I saw something on Facebook and that's kind of what started this episode. But on top of it starting the episode, my wife got me this little ideas book for my birthday and I haven't used it. And I sat there and I wrote down, I don't know if it's even in the camera, but it's racing thoughts, and all it is just every single thing in my head that I was like, 2 minutes, I'm just gonna jot it all down. And then you start to realize, okay, what's something that's repeated in me? Okay, I lack discipline. Doesn't matter if I want to have discipline. Wanting it and actually working towards it and creating it within your own life, I think are two different things. And I think that's kind of how we keep going into this cycle of that takes more time. I'm going to do this now because it's instant. You know, I
Well,
can cook chicken.
yeah, so it's funny, I was getting ready to say that food is another one.
Is that so? Like for you, like what's something in your life that you know you kind of been repeating the same cycle and you wanted to change, but it seems like every time you start, you kind of keep going back to it.
I think it's probably drinking for me, and it's not, like, heavy drinking. It's just I managed to cut it out 5 days a week or 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. I don't eat or drink anything, and then the weekend comes along, and it's a way for me to decompress a little bit. It's just and I don't drink so much that I feel hungover,
Yeah.
but part of me wishes I could just cut it out.
And so it's for you, it's like decompressing. You know, what would you be doing if you weren't drinking?
Cocaine. I don't know, it's a good question, but part of my struggle is that I'll drink enough that I'm, like, buzzed, and then I eat like shit,
Yeah.
and I'll eat pretty well all week, and I'll work out, and I'll still usually work out on the weekends, but I'm playing from behind almost every morning when I get up after I drink because
Yeah.
I drank and ate like shit.
Well, then, like, how do you feel in the morning? You know, after those nights, do you feel as if you're well, like you said, you're playing from behind, so you took a step back.
And that's exactly how I feel, is that, like, I took a step back. So now I feel like I gotta work twice as hard today because I drank last night and ate like shit.
But like, what's the reality? And I think this is a good point because I think the reality of it is, you know, when we feel behind and we say, okay, now I have to overcompensate. Now I have to be like, for me, if I'm being a bad dad, like I'm not spending time with my kids, then I'm like, great, you're a piece of shit. Um, Now you need to double it up and like spend extra time with everybody and be extra about everything. And then I realized I'm like, that's not possible. You can't do that because
Right.
it's not sustainable. And I think it's a big problem. You know, we trip and then we try to start running instead of just getting up, brushing ourselves off and continuing on a steady pace. Like I think that's a pretty difficult thing. And for me, Patrick, like drinking is the same thing. Like I haven't drank in like 2 months and then I got a a 12 pack the other day. Granted, it lasted me like all week, but for me, it was like I bought it. I'm like, I don't even know why I bought this. Like for me, I have to be outside and my neighbors out there. I'm like, oh, well, I can drink a beer with everybody. Then it started because they handed me a beer and I said, I can't drink it. Like I can't drink unless it fucking rolls to me. And what does my neighbor do? He puts the beer on the ground
Rolls
and
of tea.
rolls it to me. You know what I mean? So I think that's where like discipline comes in because even though we want to make the right choice in the moment, it takes some like personal restraint.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mentioned it a couple months back, but work is hard for me when people bring in shit, right? Like somebody will get pizzas, just randomly will get pizzas and it's there for everybody. And it's hard for me to to stay disciplined.
Yeah,
Donuts. I buy donuts every Thursday, and this Thursday I did not eat a donut.
that's good. That
Because
that
I'm
kind of
go ahead.
I was gonna say that kind of goes to the next question. What story do you tell yourself to justify staying the same? And it's oh well, people are bringing in this. I'm already out there. My kids say, "Can we stop and get pizza?" I'm like, okay. And then what do I do? Whose fault is it? Okay, I can get them pizza without partaking. You
Yep.
can buy donuts without partaking.
Yep.
But then it's almost as if like it's the FOMO of life. We feel like you're missing out on some sort of an experience of just sitting there and eating that donut, or sitting there and participating in the act of eating that slice of pizza, or drinking a beer with your neighbors. I feel like we feel like we're missing out on certain aspects of life by not engaging in these habits that we've created. But the reality of it is, we're missing out on life because we're engaging in these habits constantly instead of creating new ones that are going to better us.
Well, and my discipline to not eat a donut is actually better than my discipline not to eat multiple donuts. Because once I eat one, then I'm like already fucked up.
It's
I mean,
true.
it's crazy. It's the same way with pizza or something like
Yeah.
that. I like overindulge where it's almost easier for me to not indulge at all.
They say drugs are like marijuana or marijuana. I don't know why I'm saying marijuana, smoking weed, or doing crack cocaine. Like, these are drugs that are going to lead you to harder drugs. But if you take that same concept or principle and apply it to our daily lives, it's the same thing, except I think it's even harder than drugs, because we've been so accustomed to eat food or self indulge when we're bored, when we're frustrated, you know, not do the difficult things.
Yeah, I just can't. I got to do nothing. Jesus Christ, spit it out, dummy. It's easier for me to not do it than because this is what I'll do is I'll just eat like shit all day. I may even eat dinner. And then my whole mindset is I'll just reset tomorrow, which I don't think's a terrible mindset to have, but it's the mass eating the day that I have a donut. One donut turns into three, then I'm eating dinner, and it just throws off my whole entire day.
Yeah, it's like you're still gonna eat dinner even though you have those donuts, because it's the act of eating dinner, it's the act of participating. We don't wanna miss out on dinner because I think it's kinda comes back to, we feel dumb to sit at the table while everyone else is eating, and we're just like, "Hey, what do you guys wanna talk about?"
Well, I normally don't eat dinner. I don't eat dinner during the week.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I only eat in the morning.
So do you sit there, like, with the food staring at you, or, like, you
No, a
you
lot
go
of
away?
times they eat before I get home anyways, so it just kinda works out.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Alright. Well, that makes sense. Well, okay. So, now that we've named the pattern, the bigger question is, why does it matter so much once you're a father?
'Cause you're showing your kids bad habits. I mean, that sounds harsh, but, like, it's just kinda true.
And how do we show it to them? By what?
By not being disciplined.
And we just keep repeating the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Where you say, "Hey, don't do that." Or, "Hey, eat your vegetables," and we're over here shoving a Big Mac down our throats. We're over here eating candy. We're like, "No snacks before dinner." It's They're gonna learn from that discipline, or the lack of it that we have in our lives. And I think it kinda translates in the way that your your fathering abilities are received by them. If they say, "Well, dad just said don't do this, but, like, he's over here eating, like, a big old bag of chips, and so I guess I can also do that, and he can't really get mad at me." So we're sending them mixed signals of, "Hey, be good, be healthy, don't do that," while we're over here sitting on our phones, scrolling constantly, shoving chips down our throats, not eating any vegetables, and overindulging in everything.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So here's a question, where do kids reflect us back to ourselves in an uncomfortable way?
What do you mean?
So when we see our kids and we see something that they're doing, but it's a reflection of what we've showed them. Where's an uncomfortable part of that that you see in your daily life?
Um, I mean, for me, it's eating. I saw it with Logan. Logan's so much better now,
Yeah,
but I think the drinking a little bit too. But I'm a little less concerned about it with my kids,
yeah,
just because I'm not a dude who starts drinking at 10 in the morning on his days off. It's not like that. Um, I don't get aggressive when I drink, and I'm not like always drunk.
yeah.
It's just I fucking love the way beer tastes.
Well, so I mean, to that point though, like, uncomfortable way. If we're teaching our kids to say, "Hey, listen, I've just had a really long day and I just need to have a beer to unwind." You know, once I feel like once we start seeing that reflected back to us, then we start to like pick it up and be like, wow, well, I guess that like you just needing to unwind and using that as your scapegoat. I think they pick up on it or they don't. Like to your point, like you're not you're not belligerent drunk. You're not a dick. It's just I like the way that it tastes. And I say the same thing, but you know what I can't stand? When my daughter gets like a bag of Takis and she's like, "Dad, I just like the way they taste." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I see what you're doing there." And, that, like, overindulgence, I feel like is something that I've done, whether it's, you know I think mine is just staring at my phone, because 'cause I'm always trying to figure something out. I'm always trying to, like, learn something, but the reality it is, that's the lie that I tell myself because that might be my intention, but about a minute or 2 into it, if I haven't figured something out because I'm not disciplined enough, I'll be like, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Some dude jumped off a bridge. Oh, he shit himself too? This is okay, what's the next video? It's like so for me, and then I started seeing my daughter and my kids because they love technology, and I'm like, "Dude, this is like, we gotta cut it out a little bit. We need to go outside, touch grass, see the world."
Touch
And
grass.
yeah, I think it's very, very important that we pay attention to what we're doing and how it's reflecting back to us from our kids. Because it's easy for us to make excuses on everything to say, "Oh, no, we're just great." Or they're doing that because this, and that reason, not me. Uh, That's a good one. How much of fatherhood is direct teaching versus silent modeling?
If I had to put a percentage to it, I'd say maybe pretty close to 50-50.
I think it's more the modeling. So why do you think it's 50-50?
I mean, at least with my interaction with my kids, I feel like it's 50-50. I think there are some things that I don't know, Dimitri. It's an interesting question, but I feel like when you're watching somebody, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I, for what it's worth, I think that there's some things that I have been intentional about, especially with my boys. Um, like treating women and not doing it disrespectfully and um you
Yeah,
know,
but sometimes they like you to do it disrespectfully, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, not in front of my kids, you fucking weirdo. Jesus, man. And you know, I feel like that's always something that I've tried to model. And you can have an argument and not get along, but usually that stuff is done privately.
Yeah.
And I'm also not a dude that like fuck you, you stupid bitch. Like that's not how I handle
Oh, yeah.
situations that aren't going the way that I want them to go. And
I I I
I'd be
agree.
lying to you if I'd say that, you know, that's never come out of my mouth because it probably has at one point. But for the most part, that's just not how I talk to women.
You know what's crazy about, like, so I am 100% that's never come out of my mouth, and the reason is the B word, I think, is, like, worse than, like, saying "fuck." I don't know why, I just think it's such, like, a shitty word to use, like, even, like, my friends, like, when I say it, I sometimes feel like it's forced when I'm, like, trying to be funny, and I'm like, I probably just shouldn't even said it. It just feels weird for me. I think for me, it's silent modeling over everything because when they're at that young age, please get off the couch like that. They are they're looking at you for guidance. It's like I think about being a kid and finding somebody to look up to, and you see what they do and you try to mimic it. You know, kids are just they're just mimic artists, and it we have to figure out what we can do to make sure that what they're mimicking is actually beneficial to them instead of having like I can only teach my kids so much. But you know what? If you said earlier that do as I say, not as I do, right? But the reality of it is, what am I doing? Why would I do what you're telling me to do when you're sitting here and not doing anything about it? So I think it's like those silent little lessons that are learned just from watching actions being done by our parents is I think it teaches them a lot more than I can personally teach, or at least I think so.
I don't think so. I mean, you're a super intelligent dude. So I have a lot of like, I have a lot of one on one interactions with my kids. And I feel like I'm also pretty honest. So I think talking through those things and telling, like, hey, I screwed this up and this is how I did this, I think that's super valuable too.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's kind of where I'm at, like with the 50-50. Like some things they're watching you do and they're
yeah,
picking up on, but sometimes, especially if you address those situations, you know, I've told all of my kids, I really don't want them to work in the same industry that I do. It's hard on you. It's hard on your family. It's very demanding, and they're smart enough that they can do something else, make good money, and not have to, you know, work 80 hours a week.
yeah,
That's what I did. I don't want them to do that. So having
yeah.
those conversations with them is part of that 50-50 for me.
All right, so how about what habits do you think that we inherited from the men that raised us, being father figures, whatnot, that, we're trying not to repeat. We're trying to have our kids not repeat. And I think you said a good one, work, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any. I mean, my grandpa, I don't feel like he worked a lot. He worked a pretty normal job. It was a blue collar job, but like it wasn't like he was working 80 hours a week and didn't have to work weekends. He worked a lot on the farm, but I don't know. It's funny. It's funny. I thought for a long time I got my work ethic from my grandpa, but I actually got it from, I think, my mom. My mom's a pretty hard worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she doesn't miss work. She shows up, she does her job, doesn't complain. So I really didn't have a male role model. I had like some that came and went, but nobody that was there consistently outside of my grandfather. And he's kind of a jerk sometimes. So I tried to stay away. As I
I
got
mean,
older, our relationship changed, but
so
and
like if
he wasn't nice to my grandma. And I think for me, I actually learned like, let's treat your spouse a little bit different.
well, yeah, so that was a takeaway from him, like how to speak to people, and then from your grandma, or you say your mom. Was your mom always there for you for like sports, like anything they did extracurricular, or was she more so worked pretty heavily?
Yeah, so it really depends. It depends because she's worked a couple different jobs, and there was a couple times where she was working multiple jobs. So she did not attend every sporting event, which that's another thing. I do my best to attend every single game and stuff that matters, right? Like
Yeah.
I got a guy from work, and his deal with his spouse is that she takes care of the kids and he works all the time. And that was my deal as well. But I try to always make parent teacher conferences. If there's a play or a presentation, I feel like you have to go to that stuff as
Well,
a parent.
who's it important to? Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's is it super important to us? It can be, but it's more so important to them for our kids to see that. Because once they see you do this, then guess what? When they have kids and there's an event or something going on, they'll be like, "Oh, dude, dad was always there. How am I gonna one up dad?" Like, I think if we set the baseline as for parenting to them, that's very high, they're gonna be 10 times better parents than we ever were, and that's the whole goal. And we want them to be great.
No, for sure, for sure. I I think you have to learn because I didn't know how to do it at a young age. I didn't know how to choose my family over work because it was had to have this job to provide for this family. And if I screwed this up, I would lose this job and then we'd be in a really bad way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it motivated me to work harder. And I think as I got older, I realized you can still do both. You can be good at your job as long as you're communicating that you got to take care of
Yeah.
your kids. But honestly, once I got divorced, everything kind of changed for me because my kids became more of a priority, especially when it was 50-50 time. Um and that's a really shitty way to look at things, but that's I wanted to be there for them and it
Yeah.
helped my relationships with all of my kids. My younger two were pretty young still, but it just helped me be there. But I've told you this story. I would work so much Monday through Saturday. Sunday, I'd be off. My ex wife would be like, "Hey, we're going to the zoo." And I'd be like, "Fucking have fun." I felt like I needed that time to decompress to myself. And as I got older, I stopped doing that. You may not want to get up early and go do this, but once you're there and you're seeing your kids interact and you're seeing them smile and you're seeing all of that stuff, it's fucking way better than
Yeah.
what you were going to do sitting at home watching TV or sleeping or, whatever the case was.
It's the truth, man. It just takes that little bit for us to get the hell up.
Yeah, that's just it. You gotta motivate yourself a little bit to get going, and then it's usually always worth it.
Yeah. See, okay. So see, I'm a stay at home dad. I guess like that's like I work, but I'm also there for my kids for like everything. And when we talk about like decompressing, like for me, I realize that if I'm trying to decompress without my kids, it makes it so much more difficult for me to decompress because I just can't do it. So I have to figure out a way to bring them into that so they can benefit and see me go through it, and I can benefit by chilling the hell out instead of just being grouchy and shitty. Because when we say I just feel like being alone, like I just want to sit here and scroll my phone. No, I don't. I'm doing that because that's the easy thing to do. It's difficult to say, "Hey, this is why I'm upset." Like, "Hey, daughter, this is why I'm sad," or "Hey, son, this is why I'm mad." Like, it's a very difficult thing to do if you don't practice it. Like for me, it's hard or was hard.
Sure. For sure. I think that's something too that I've just if I said I'm gonna do something, I try to do it. And I don't think I was trying to silently do it for my kids, but it is something that as I got older, I realized that don't say you're gonna do something if you're not gonna do it.
Yep. Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
whether it's help a friend move or show up to their play or, whatever the case is, do what you said you're gonna do. It's a
yeah,
very easy thing to do, from an accountability standpoint.
yeah, don't flake out. So, I mean, I guess most of us aren't. It's not that we're afraid of failing. It's more so like being seen failing. I think that's where the big problem starts because failure itself, everybody fails on a daily basis, no matter what they're doing. We all have failures. Now, if those failures are brought to your attention and everyone's calling you out on them, that doesn't feel very good. So I think we kind of try to protect ourselves so we don't get hurt from our past. And even then using that stuff, saying, "Oh, well, it's because of my past." You know what? Fuck your past. Unfortunately, your past is your past, and if all you do is keep blaming it for your future, then your future is just going to be just as bad. I think it's important for us to take ownership of going forward. There's that in plenty of movies, and I've seen all over Facebook and quotes. I would die for my kids, and then it's like, okay, but would you live for them? And I think at a younger age, I was in the mindset of, oh, I would die for my kids. There's nothing, I would do anything for them. And then now I'm looking at myself. I'm like, dude, what have I done? What's this anything for them part that I've just ignored? Oh, if a car comes and hits them, I'm going to jump. Yeah, no shit. But then there's so much reality that goes into it that we ignore. That's a big part about being a dad is I'm going to, I'm going to live for you because I love you. And it's important for you to have that and know that I'll help you with all your problems, not just get mad at you when I'm tired of you asking me the same damn question. You know what I mean? I think that's a value right there, and us kind of hiding behind it, behind that failure and that fear of it, the fear of being seen, is where a lot of that little self betrayal kind of comes in.
Yeah, for sure. What's next?
Uh, what do men fear most? Failing or being seen failing? What is it for you?
Um, oof, being seen failing, I think.
Yeah.
Nah, no, because if you're giving effort and fail, I don't think that that's failing.
You think it's image control, the way that people are perceiving you?
I think just failing in general is probably harder for me.
Okay. Like, you don't play it safe. You like you
I do. I try to make calculated risks, but sometimes I probably didn't do the research I should have, or and I've tried to learn from that stuff and pass that on to my kids. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck what people say.
I think there's a part of me that's there. I also think that there's a it's like more so like a misunderstanding. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with not succeeding at something and failing. What I'm not okay with is there to be a misunderstanding of why, you know? And maybe that ties into that the fear of being seen as oh well, here's my excuse, here's my misunderstanding, right? Like that's for me. Like, oh, I failed because this reason, and this reason. Even if all those reasons are myself. If someone says, "Oh, well, you just suck." I don't care how confident I am. I don't like hearing that. And seeing my kids fail, seeing me fail for my kids, I think is even worse. Love you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I don't like to see them fail, but I also want them to learn a lesson from failing. You failed because you didn't put. Well, I'll give you a great example. Um, about 3 weeks ago, Ev's part of this thing called Bob, which is fuck. What does it stand for? It's essentially a reading program at their school. It's books, blah 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 blah. I don't remember. So the next so this was on like a Wednesday. On that Thursday, they were having a
Yeah,
competition for Bob. And the competition was questions were being asked about the books. She was supposed to read 5. She had read 2. So that night, she was trying to cram in 3 books. And so her and she was super sad because I think the reality had sunk in that she wasn't going to be able to read 3 books in a night. So she was like trying to figure out ways where she could understand what was going on in the book using the internet or YouTube or whatever the case was. And I said, "Why did you join this?" And she's like, "Because I want to get better at reading." And I said, "But you didn't read." And she's like, "No." And I said, "So moving forward, if that's really what your goal is, like it wasn't about the next day, it had nothing
yeah.
to do with that." Um, but I'm like, if you want to get better at reading, then now I'm going to hold you accountable. And every night you're going to read for 30 minutes. And
Mhm.
she's like, "But sometimes I don't want to." I was like,
That's the point.
Exactly, exactly. You want to get better at reading. You need to learn some discipline." And Ev
Yeah,
is very disciplined. She's she's not always organized, but like she does the stuff that she is supposed to do. She works very hard, especially when it comes to schoolwork. And so I think this was the first time that she actually felt failure from a school standpoint. So yeah, since then, every night I'm like, "Hey, you need to go read for 30 minutes and then I'll come tuck you in." And she's done it. But that, it kind of hurt my heart. But at the same time, I wanted her to learn the real lesson. Like, you
yeah.
joined this for you. You procrastinated for the first 4 months of the school year, and now you're trying to cram all this shit in because scrolling was more important.
Because it's easier. I think that's the big thing. It's easier. And I don't think running. No, no. I don't think that you can. I want to say to my kids when they're doing something wrong, you're doing this because you did that because blah, 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 blah. But I think it mainly goes back to what's easier. And in the mind of a child, whatever's easier is what we're going to resort to. But as you transition into becoming an adult, now it's not whatever's easier. It's what do we have to do now to progress ourselves further? And I think that the biggest thing that hurts me as an adult is there's still some childish aspects about that where, yeah, but this is easier. And since it's easier and I'm tired, I worked, excuse, 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 excuse. That's why I'm going to do it.
Did you just say cuss words and bleep out
No,
your cuss
no, no.
words?
I just said, please stop.
Just kidding. It didn't look like you said cuss words.
Uh, just it's learning to learning to realize why they're having a hard time as a father is difficult because we usually just want to make an assumption of why they're doing X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you do have to feed through their bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, let's do this. Let's define a room, a place that you felt small. This could be your health, marriages, finances, fatherhood, being a son or a daughter to somebody, and kind of tell yourself what you're doing wrong in that, and an honest thought, no excuses, but just a genuine reason of why we're sucking in this place so we can get personal understanding within ourselves and come to, a meeting and shake some hands and move past it.
Okay. It's health for me. Like just being overweight. I've been overweight for so long. And I just lack the discipline. And usually it's not the work. It's the work sometimes, but it's the overindulging or the rewarding. Like Monday through Friday, I do a good job. So Saturday and Sunday, I can be a huge piece of shit. And I think I need to learn how to balance Saturday and Sunday a little bit better. The workout, comes with it. And I haven't consistently done that, but I'm currently consistently doing that. And I feel good about it. And I think I'm being a better dad because of it.
Because you're being more disciplined within yourself.
Yeah, and, you and I have talked about this before, probably on camera, but definitely off camera. But it's the look good, feel good, And so you do a workout, you feel good, and then you start acting differently. You
Yeah.
carry some confidence, and you don't want to waste the day. So now you want to spend some time with your kids, and it or your spouse or both, and just want to do it in a much more positive way than what you would if you didn't do that workout. And I know it sounds weird, but I truly believe that.
Hey, you feel better, man. There's something that comes with it afterwards where you feel accomplished and you didn't let yourself down. For me, it's health as well. That room is full of, potential fears of sickness and cancers, mental problems. That room I'm terrified to sit in. Like I'm terrified to go into that room and then go somewhere and have them poke you cry and tell you, hey, you got this going on. That place scares the shit out of me. Because if it's things that I could have done to prevent and I didn't, and it was made worse because of my habits, now my kids lose time with their dad because of it. So for me, it's, going and getting my blood work done. It's not a difficult thing to do. You go in, they get it done, bada bing, bada boom. But it's the thought of it, of what it might, what might come with it. That's the part that scares me. I want to be here for as long as I can for my kids. Well, letting fear guide you into the opposite direction instead of facing the challenges and say, you know what, this makes me super uncomfortable. I know I have to do it, but it makes me really uncomfortable and I don't want to. Doing it anyway, that's the discipline that we need as fathers. As a discipline I need to personally have. Because to that point of what I said earlier, people are willing to die for their kids, but are we willing to live for them? Living for them means doing the things that make you uncomfortable. It's taking a breath before you lose your shit because your kids are doing something they shouldn't be. It's instead of sitting on the couch, having them go outside and have a catch with you, or letting your daughter paint your nails, doesn't matter how old you were. Nobody gives a shit. Having a discipline enough to put yourself in the back seat and say, cool, dude, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to do the right things and direct you to do the right things. And I hope you follow.
It's good.
Well, I think we're at our Fatherhood Unscripted and our questions.
I'm going to read this real quick.
Okay.
Man, how long are you going to keep postponing the man you were supposed to become? How many times are you going to promise yourself this time will be different and still fall back into the same habits, the same excuses, the same quiet self-betrayal? You feel it, don't you? The voice in your head saying you are capable of more than this. And it's right. The real tragedy isn't failure. It's spending your entire life never becoming the man you could have been. So go back to the room where you once felt small. Stand taller this time. Win bigger this time. And don't stop until every motherfucker who watched you fail watches you win.
Damn right.
All right. Fatherhood Unscripted. I know what yours is.
What's mine?
Daddy-daughter date.
That was this week. Yeah, I guess that was a highlight. So my daughter and I, we used to try to do these every couple months, and it's been like a year and a half since we did one, and my daughter's been asking me. And, that was also a room I was afraid to get back into. I don't know why. And it was actually, I think, when I was writing down all my stuff and I read, that passage that you just read to us, that I was like, cool, we're doing daddy-daughter day tonight. And she got home from school, and it was funny because her stomach actually hurt in school, and she almost got dismissed early because of it. And we got home, and I told her, I said, hey, we're going to go on daddy-daughter day. I texted my wife, and my wife was like, this is so random. Like, why? She was like, okay. And we went to the sushi place, and we ordered a giant boat full of sushi. And she tried all the sashimi, and when you get to see your kids and be around your kids, just them, as individuals, one-on-ones, you gain a whole lot more appreciation for them because you realize they're trying to fight for your time, especially with siblings. Everybody wants your attention. Everyone. This one constantly. You know what I mean? And it's so difficult to be the dad that you want to be on a daily basis. It's difficult to be the dad that you want to be when, your kids are arguing or they're doing something. But it's really easy to be the dad that sets aside time for them because they need it. And you need it. I needed it, dude. I needed it so bad. Like she broke down and started crying when I said we're going to go on a daddy-daughter date. And dude, that crushed me. I told my wife, I was like, I was trying to hold it back. My kids shouldn't cry of happiness because we're finally spending time together alone. And it was a realization. That was definitely my Fatherhood Unscripted.
Nice. That's awesome. Did she like the sushi?
Well, she loved it. She
I
loved
got
it.
a funny little thing. So my ex-wife doesn't eat sushi, and I do eat sushi, but I never ate sushi with Evelyn. And for years, when she was younger, she said sushi was her favorite food. Well, it wasn't sushi, it was egg rolls.
That's close enough.
But yeah, she thought sushi was egg rolls. So anyways.
That's funny.
I don't know if her mom had told her it was sushi or if she just made some kind of connection. I have no idea, but.
So you brought her home actual sushi and she's like, what is this?
Well, no, I was just trying to navigate through it because I didn't actually try sushi till I was about 30 because my ex-wife never liked it. And I grew up in the country. There's no sushi spots. So, but yeah, I mean, I love sushi. So, Ev, I don't think to this day has tried sushi. We went out for sushi one night, but she did not eat sushi. So anyways, my Fatherhood Unscripted, I got two. I'll try to make them brief. Davis made varsity for the boys volleyball team. It's been a roller coaster of things happening, I would say, for him. They had him starting in a different position and it's kind of a struggle. This week he actually got to play the position he's more familiar with and better at.
Nice.
And he played so they played 3 games this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And then yesterday was a 16-team tournament. And he got a ton of playing time. He played very well. The team actually played very well as well. Yeah, they went 2-1 during the week, and yesterday they went 2-2. And I really thought that they were playing their best volleyball yesterday. So
nice.
And then the other one for me, real quick, is my kids all had their parent-teacher conferences on Friday. And so I took my kids to breakfast and got to spend most of the day with the younger two. And the parent-teacher conferences were great. I think my favorite thing about the parent-teacher conferences that I've heard even since Logan was there is what leaders my kids are, how they're able, because Davis is very quiet. Jackson is also quiet, but they have these leadership qualities that they could get people to do the things that need to happen. And Evelyn's the same way. Sounds like a little bit of a teacher's pet at her age, but
nothing wrong with that.
She also is just good with relationships and leading. One of the things that I think surprised me and made me the most happy was one of Evelyn is also shy, and until you get to know her and start talking to her, then she'll talk your ear off.
Yeah.
But one thing she did this year is she wants to raise her hand and answer in every single class. So, um, she said even if she's wrong, she wants to answer, and that was part of her. So it was a confidence issue last year,
So
and
she set this for herself?
mhm.
Damn, dude.
And so the teacher actually brought it up and said, sometimes I don't even call on her, and then she gets mad at me. Um, but I just thought it was a pretty cool thing to hear from the teacher that Evelyn has done something to build her own confidence. So
I think that is, dude, I being at that young of an age and setting goals for herself, I think that right there is probably like a straight up reflection of you. I know you have goals that you set for yourself, and she sees them and she's like, "What can I do?" That's really cool, man.
oh, it was the same thing with the reading. Like she joined the reading because she wants to get better at reading. E- Evelyn, it's weird. It actually happened all of the kids, all four of the kids. They didn't go to traditional preschool or kindergarten, and so when they started, they were just behind, like articulating words. And so she was and her very first year was a COVID year, so it kind of set things back even more. So she's been part of like the what's the word? Like IEP program, like special needs kind of.
Like ESL.
Probably the same
I
thing.
think ESL is like language.
Got it.
That's what I
But
did.
yeah, she's been special needs because of her not being able to read and speak very, very good. And it's not that she can't speak, she can speak just fine. It's articulating the words right.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's a really good student. So
Well, she's probably going to be better than most kids. I mean, that's just the truth of it. You know, if you have a drive to be better and to better yourself constantly, you're just going to be better. So you might be behind now, but then out of nowhere, she's going to crush it, man. I think that's really, really cool.
for sure, for sure. All right. Ready for the question?
Ready for the question.
All right. You find out you have a year to live, not for a health reason or anything. It's just you're going to be dead in a year as it sits right now. What is one thing you would do for yourself? And what is one thing you would do with your family, with or for your family?
Ooh, I think or I don't know what I would do for myself because if I had 1 year left to live, I don't think even though like I'd want to say like I'm gonna do this, this, and that for myself, I think I would have a really, really hard time doing something that was just selfish, like for me.
Well, what if it's just like bungee jumping or something? Like, what's something that you've always wanted to do that,
I think I always wanted to go like skydiving,
see?
but like I'm not. The crazy thing is I'm not terrified of heights. I have like something in like my brain, chest, whatever. Like even when I go like down water slides, if it's closed off and there's like lights going by, like I get so disoriented that like I black out. So I'd probably do that on the day I was gonna die because I'm like, fuck, I'm dying anyway. I'm just gonna jump out of the plane, whatever. But I think for my kids, man, there's so much that I'd want to do for my kids. But I think I would try to every every day take them somewhere and make every single day as like special as possible and record it. So that at the end of it, they have a whole year of dad and all the memories that went along with them.
That's cool. That's a good idea. It's a good idea. For me, I was thinking a little bit differently, but doing like a 2 week long vacation, taking everybody together somewhere and just enjoying it. I think the other part of me would like to I need to figure out how to I would try to figure out how to set them up financially to the best, not they not that they wouldn't have to work, that's for damn sure, but like just trying to make sure that they were somewhat squared away when I left. And then for me, this is a tough one for me too, because I can't think of anything specifically. I definitely would like to skydive, but it's not necessarily like really high on my bucket list. Travel would be one of them, but I also wouldn't want to spend all this money that I'm getting ready to die doing all this traveling.
Dude,
And
fucking rob a bank, travel with the family
there you
to
go.
every single place you want to go. What are you gonna do? Put me in jail? I'm gonna die, dude. I don't give a shit.
That's true. That is true. Um,
Ooh, 25 years, Foss. That's cute.
yeah, one of my bucket list items is to watch the Broncos play everywhere, and that's not going to happen in a year. Going to the Super Bowl would be cool, like just watching the Super Bowl. So yeah, maybe that's it. Going to the Super Bowl and watching it, whether the Broncos are in it or not, just being part of the experience.
Right on. Right
Cool.
on. It's a good one.
All right.
That being said, you know, the comeback doesn't start with motivation. It starts the moment that you stop betraying what you already know that you need to become. Thanks again for watching Dad Compass Podcast. Comment, like, subscribe, share this to family, friends. We'll see you next week, in 2 weeks. Really screwed the pooch there again.
Compass on.
Compass on. Always just sounds like we're saying come piss on. I mean,